In this PowerPoint, we're going to take a look at WordPress plugins. So what are plugins? The official definition is a plugin is a piece of software containing a group of functions that can be added to a WordPress website. Where plugins can extend functionality or add new features to your WordPress websites. So in plain language, what plugins are basically is something that adds extra functionality to your WordPress site. So when you install your WordPress site on your server, you get the standard plain old version of your WordPress site. But if you want to add extra functionality or features to it, like the ability for your users to fill out forms, or the ability to make your WordPress site into an e-commerce site, the ability to add extra security features onto your website, those are all available through the use of plugins. So plugins allow you to add this extra stuff to your website. Okay, so what can plugins do? WordPress plugins are small software apps that integrate and run on top of the WordPress software. So examples are you can start an online store, you can create a job board, you can build a business directory, you can start a coupon website, you can build a photography site, you can create a wiki site, you can start your own podcast website. So you can make your plain old boring WordPress site into all this extra interactive or extra you can add all this extra functionality abilities to your website, your regular site. So you have probably heard, or maybe you haven't heard yet, but it's common saying there's a plugin for that. WordPress plugins are written in PHP programming language and can integrate seamlessly with WordPress. Plugins makes it easier for users to add features to their website without even having to know a single line of code. So without having to be a developer and being able to write all this extra code to add features and functionality and make your site do really cool things, you can still add all this extra stuff to your website without having to be able to code. So how do plugins work? Each WordPress plugin is installed on your website. That's installed on your site is registered in your WordPress database. You can activate and deactivate them at any time that you want. Just like you can have many themes installed, but you only activate or deactivate a theme at a time. But with plugins, you can of course activate more than one plugin at a time. And you can even have plugins that is not activated and just have them live there, okay, until you get to a time where you want to activate it. So anyway, upon each visit, WordPress connects to the database, loads the core software, and then it loads your active plugin. So all this code is processed on your server side and then is sent to your user's browser. So where do you get the plugins? You get the plugins from your WordPress plugin directory. Okay. There's also other directories that are considered to be trustworthy by the WordPress community. Okay, so just like with themes, there's the WordPress theme directory. You can go right from your admin area to go search for plugins, and then you can have it show up there, and then you just install it there. Or you can go onto the WordPress.org site and their plugin directory and search for it there and install and download and then upload to your WordPress site and install it that way. There's also other directories that are considered to be trustworthy by the WordPress community, such as Code Canyon, Mojo Marketplace, and Pick Plugins. So those are also other directories that you can get plugins from, and these are considered to be trustworthy by the WordPress community. So it has the stamp of approval. You can go to these three places to get other plugins that you are looking for that might be more closer to what you need. Don't just go to any other directory out there that you've never heard of or no one's ever heard of, because it can be really risky in terms of security. Okay, so why would you go to those three other directories that I just mentioned? Because premium WordPress plugins are not sold on the WordPress.org site. They don't sell them. You can buy them from their own websites though. So you might want to go to other directories that sell them to get these websites. So there's a lot of free plugins available. Most of the free plugins are written by third-party developers who want to build a brand for themselves to get more client work. So that's why they're free. They're trying to get their name out there. So like any software, WordPress plugins also need to be maintained and always updated. The developer is not required to offer support, especially if they're doing this for free, but they often do go above and beyond what they need to do to help users and even add new features as requested. Even though they don't have to, they do it. And that's because they're trying to carve out this name for themselves. They're trying to make themselves established in the community. They're trying to, become a well-known developer that is recognized and respected in the community. So that's why they go, above and beyond and work really hard to make, their plugins worthwhile. All these things that they do take time and resources. So plugin developers are often unable to give free plugins proper attention, though, as they get more and more popular and get a larger user base. So although they try their best, try their darndest, things can fall apart in time if they can no longer handle it. So there's always the risk of, discontinued support, discontinued updates and things like that with free plugins. So that's why you might want to get premium plugins. Then you have the guarantee that, you will get that service that's, consistent and continued because you're paying for the product. The premium plugins are a paid version of WordPress plugins that come with additional features, that come with priority support, that come with documentations, and that come with regular updates. So the small licensing fee provides plugin authors steady income so they can improve the product. They can dedicate more time to growing their WordPress plugin business. Okay, these developers and authors, like anybody else, needs to make a living. If they get paid for it, they are able to, give it more time and more effort. They can justify their time and effort that they spend on these plugins. So, but if you're paying a small premium fee, sometimes it's not a bad thing if it goes towards supporting those people who are, authoring, writing, and updating and maintaining these plugins. Okay, so are all premium WordPress plugins good? If you pay for it, is it guaranteed to be good? The short answer is no. So carefully evaluate plugins before making the purchase. Things you need to find out are: who are the people behind the plugin? What kind of reputation do they have? And what are other people saying about the plugin on the internet? Do your research. Look at the reviews. Look at the kudos. Look at the complaints. Look at what people are saying about them. And number one, do not buy a paid plugin from an unofficial source. So never do that. Always buy the plugins from the official author website to make sure that you're buying a secure version of the plugin. Do not get pirated versions or anything like that. Don't try and get something for free. Okay, it's not worth it. It's worth it to pay the extra little fee to make sure that you're getting the proper version, to make sure that you're supporting, the people who deserve your support. Okay. And do you own a plugin after buying it? Once you purchase a WordPress plugin, you can keep it for as long as you want. They can come with different licensing terms. The most common licensing term is for 1 year of updates and support. So if you're on a yearly license plan, then your plugin will continue to work, but you won't get updates and support after your license is expired. If you like the plugin they're using, then you should continue to renew your license when it expires. Without the plugins and support and updates and maintenance, you might run into trouble in terms of the security breaches and in terms of whether it will continue to work properly. So it's a good idea to renew it when it expires. So when do you buy premium plugins? Most beginners can control costs by using free WordPress plugins whenever they can. So there are free versions of many of the best WordPress plugins right now. So if you're just starting out, you're just trying to learn, you don't have a big budget, then yes, it's a good idea to get free plugins. But as your website or business grows, you want to then have access to more features. You have a better idea of what you need, what you want. You need more security, you need more support, more, make sure that you have your updates. You need reliability, then you can count on for regular updates and pay for the premium version then. All right, so again, reasons to why buy premium plugins. Solution-specific WordPress plugins. If you pay for it, it might be more specific to what you need. There's usually advanced features. There's dedicated support from plugin developers. There is extensive documentation and tutorials, making it easier to use for you. When it's easier to use, you waste less time trying to figure things out on your own. There's regular and frequent updates, important for making it continue to work and making sure that there's no security issues. And also you support the WordPress ecosystem. Okay, we're all part of this WordPress community. The developers and authors who create the plugins, make the community thrive. So if they are supported, if they're making a living wage out of it, they will be able to work harder. And what goes around comes around. All right, so the first point was solution-specific WordPress plugins. So some WordPress plugin categories cater to very specific solutions, such as building a membership website or selling online courses. Free plugins alone usually cannot manage these complex solutions sufficiently. So with a free plugin, you probably have to purchase some add-ons to make it more specific and add all the specific features you want. So if you're building a website that requires a very specific or advanced functionality, then use a premium WordPress plugin. Okay, so the next point was advanced features. Free plugins offer basic tasks. Advanced features are found in paid plugins because building and maintaining advanced features takes a lot of resources that you can't do for free. So for example, WordPress WP Form Lite is very popular WordPress contact form plugin. The Pro version has a very advanced features like registration, user registration forms, surveys and polls, and payment forms that take more resources to create and maintain and support. So therefore, it's only available in the free in the Pro version. Next, you also have dedicated support. If you're new to WordPress with no programming skills, then support is what you want. Okay, premium plugins come with faster email responses to your questions. So if you are managing a website that is very time sensitive, if you have an online store, you probably want dedicated support for your plugin. Next, does it have extensive? It has extensive documentation and tutorials. Why is this important? Free WordPress plugins are sometimes abandoned. It leaves your website open to security vulnerabilities and bugs. You might not even realize that a plugin has been abandoned until you see that your site is behaving strangely after you update your WordPress site. So premium plugins give you regular updates to address bugs, glitches, and security issues. These updates would automatically appear in your WordPress dashboard, and you can very quickly install them with just a few clicks. And next, new features and enhancements. So free WordPress plugins usually don't have an incentive to enhance and improve something that's already working for many websites. Premium plugins are businesses with competition, so they have more of an incentive to do so, to enhance and always been improving. So they continuously work on their products by adding new features and improving existing features to stay on top of the game. And lastly, we want to support the WordPress ecosystem. Premium WordPress plugin companies are small businesses. Okay, so by purchasing a license, you can help them build a sustainable business and also create new jobs all over the world. So you're doing a good thing. Your small payment helps these developers create even better products for other small businesses like yours or others and improve the WordPress ecosystem altogether. All right, so next what we're going to look at is how to install and activate your plugins. So you have to go to your WordPress admin area, go to plugins and add new, okay? And then you would search by typing your plugin name or functionality that you want. For example, if you want forms, you would type in forms. WordPress then will display the available plugins. It would display all the form plugins that are out there, maybe starting with the most popular ones at the top. It can be very difficult to decide which plugin is best for the job. Okay, so don't worry about that. You might feel overwhelmed. Anyway, so you click on the Install Now button next to the plugin that you want to install. It installs it just like in a theme, like you would with the theme. And then after that, after you've installed it, it's not activated yet. You have to click Activate. So don't worry, I have the short tutorial video on how to install and activate. You can refer to that video. All right, so before you install and activate, you need to search for the right plugin. Look for plugin recommendations and tutorials when you're searching. Look at what people recommend. Watch the tutorials. What do they recommend? Is it easy to install? Is it easy to use? Have a little, kind of sneak preview at it before you go ahead and install it. You can look at reviews that people have left, what they have rated it as, the comments, and the FAQ. Do they answer questions that you're looking for? Once you have found a few plugins, compare them. You can also go to the WordPress plugin page that contains information about that plugin, like what it does, how to use it. Is it indeed going to solve the problem that you have or address your need that you have? Plugin screenshots can show you how the plugin will look and what it does. And you can go to the support forum and take a look at it. So by reviewing the support forum, you can find out how much support and how many issues are resolved. You have a good idea of, how much does this developer care about the plugin, how much maintenance and how much support is offered out there. Okay. A common question is, can plugins slow your site down? So remember that it is the quality that counts, not the quantity that matters. So one poorly coded plugin, one bad plugin can slow down your entire site. So the trouble is that if you only have 5 plugins and one of them is bad, so it's easy to figure out which is the one that's slowing down your site if you only have 5. However, if you have 30 or 200 plugins, then it would be very difficult to try and troubleshoot and find out which is the bad plugin. Okay, so the quantity of plugins does make it harder to figure out which plugin is the problem. Okay. So there are basically 3 types of plugins. There is the front end, back end, and everywhere plugin. So front-end plugins are plugins that affect mainly the front end. Examples are page builder plugins, contact forms, galleries, sliders, and so on. So these are plugins that allow you to add things on the front end so that your users will see, your visitors will actually see. The back-end plugins are the ones that perform tasks within the back end or the admin area that the users might not even be aware of. Or the visitors might not even be aware of, people that come and see your site. So they don't see like a fancy slider or a form to fill in, but these are still plugins that you need in order for maybe maintenance of the site, security of the site, things like that. So examples are WordPress backup plugins, editorial plugins, various background processes, and so on. And then there's everywhere plugins. So these are plugins that run everywhere, including the admin area and the front end. So examples are search engine optimization, so SEO plugins that happen in the front end and also in the back and just all around, and also firewall plugins. Okay, and so on. So back to the question of whether a plugin affects performance. So WordPress plugins' impact on a website's speed and performance really depends on where that plugin is being loaded. So plugins that are only loaded when you're doing specific tasks in the WordPress admin area usually won't impact your website's performance when it's only loaded when you're using it, right? So it doesn't really affect it when your visitors are on it, or not when you're using that plugin per se. So plugins that are loaded on the front end are more likely to have a larger performance footprint, meaning it will be more likely to slow your site down if these are plugins that are loaded on the front end. So plugins that perform routine background processes like broken link checking or 404 monitoring can also significantly slow down your overall website performance. Okay, so plugins affect site performance by making additional HTTP requests. So these are some of the ways that your site can be slowed down. So when it makes additional HTTP requests, some plugins, like the front end, in the front end may require custom styling or scripts to work properly. So this adds extra JavaScript or CSS files. So then loading these files require making additional HTTP requests, which can slow down your page load time. There's also additional database queries. So some plugins may increase your database queries. For example, plugins to display popular posts, related posts, anything else that pulls database elements and displays it on the front end is always, over and over asking for data from your database, making queries. That can slow it down as well. Next, there's the background processes and database rights. So some plugins can take up a lot of server resources while running background processes like checking for broken links, monitoring, and recording analytics like post views and so on. That can slow your site down as well. So then, ironically, the solution then might be to use a plugin to increase speed, which example is using the WP Rocket. This works for most cases, but can also cause conflicts with specific plugins, so you have to be careful. Plugins can affect security. Security is another major concern when it comes to installing WordPress plugins, and we've talked about this before during the CMS class, right? So WordPress is known for, known not for a good reason, but WordPress is known for its poor performance in security compared to other CMSs. So this is often caused by third-party things like plugins. So security is a major concern when it comes to installing WordPress plugins. Having more plugins can make the site more vulnerable. So poorly coded WordPress plugins can be exploited by hackers and make your site vulnerable. So this is true for every software that exists, though, not just plugins. Okay, so it's not really having more plugins that makes your site vulnerable. Yes, it can, but the real problem is a poorly coded WordPress plugin. That is really the issue. So the more you have, the more likely you will have a poorly coded one, right? So the good news is that open source means many people are using the software, which makes it faster for a vulnerability to be discovered and fixed. So if something's wrong, it will be out there. People will realize right away. People will be talking to each other. It will be found out and fixed. So again, you can use the plugin to increase security. So keep your website secure by using a WordPress security plugin like Security. Okay, that's one of the many, many plugins out there that can improve security. All right, so after you have installed and activated a plugin, you might find that it doesn't work. What do you do then if it doesn't work? If a plugin gives an error or it does not work, so number one, find out if it's having a conflict with another plugin, or maybe it's having a conflict with the theme that you have used. So what you do is you deactivate all the other plugins and activate your default WordPress theme and try testing the plugin again. Then if it still doesn't work, try to open a support thread. Visit the plugin page on WordPress plugin directory and click on support tab. It could be so many reasons. So see if someone's already had the same problem. Communicate, join the community, discuss with people, find out what's going on. Okay, fill out the support form. You can also turn the plugin off temporarily by deactivating them. You don't have to delete it if you are not using it for the time being. Or if you think that you'll never use it again, you can completely remove the WordPress plugin by uninstalling it. So once you deactivate the plugin, it still remains installed on your website, right? But the WordPress site will stop loading it. If you want to start using the plugin again, you just have to click on the activate again. Just like with themes, right? You can have installed a whole bunch of themes and you only need to activate the one that you're using. Same as plugins, you can install a whole bunch and only activate the ones that you use. You can bulk deactivate by selecting many on your WordPress admin area and then deactivating. So sometimes you get locked out of your WordPress dashboard admin area. So what do you do then? You deactivate plugins. Deactivate plugins through your WordPress hosting file manager. So through your cPanel, you can deactivate your plugin. So where you go is you go look in your WP contents plugins folder. Okay, so you have to navigate to that space. And then instead of deleting the plugins folder, just rename it because you might not want to delete it. You might need it again. So just rename it. And then if it can't find the plugins folder, then WordPress will automatically deactivate all plugins. Okay. So to go in there, you have to open up cPanel, navigate into your WordPress folder, and then into your WordPress contents folder, and then you'll find a folder that's called plugins. Go into that folder, and then you will find your plugin folder, that specific plugin folder. You just rename that, and that's one way to deactivate it. And this is very useful if somehow the plugin that you activated has locked you out of your admin area. Okay. So you can go around it using the cPanel. If you are uninstalling a plugin, it deletes it from your website. You will not be able to see the plugin on the plugins page anymore in the admins area. So if you want to reuse that plugin again some other time, then you have to reinstall it. All right, so this one talks about cleaning up files. So to clean up unused WordPress plugin files, often WordPress plugin files create files and folders on your hosting server. They're harmless, but they really increase your WordPress backup size for no good reason at all. You might have so many and it's just using up so much space that you don't need to give it because you're never going to use these files again, and backups are over and over again. So really, that is a lot of space we're talking about. So to delete them, you go to the WP content folder, as we talked about. In WP folder, you have a WP content folder. And then from there, go into the plugins folder. You'll find the files and folders created by plugins. You'll also find it in the uploads folder and the plugins folder. So in the uploads, you might find files and folders created by the plugin. Okay, so cleaning up plugin traces from the WordPress database is also important. Some WordPress plugins create their own tables in the WordPress database. So if these tables have too much data in them, then that's going to increase your WordPress backup size. So you might have a giant table in it that you're never going to need again. So in that case, you should launch phpMyAdmin from your cPanel and go in there to delete your tables. You'll not be able to restore these tables unless you have a database backup. So just remember that once you delete these tables, you will never ever get them back. So make sure A, that you're deleting the correct tables, and that B, you indeed will never need them again. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the popular plugins. They are Yoast, CEO, Jetpack, Akismet, Wordfence Security, Contact Form 7, and WooCommerce. So let's begin with Yoast. Yoast SEO is the most popular SEO tool in the WordPress community. So it optimizes your WordPress posts and pages using keywords and meta descriptions. It sees how well your content is currently being optimized and makes improvements very easily. It can improve your content readability with very simple tips. SEO, extremely important for your web presence, is the reason why your website's even there, so people can find it. So SEO optimization tools like Yoast can really help you achieve that. And then there's also Jetpack, a popular plugin. What it is, it's a multi-purpose tool. It helps you with marketing, design, and security, almost an all-in-one. So it provides site analytics, automated social media posting, spam filtering, downtime monitoring, malware scanning, login security, and lazy image loading. So this is when images only load conditionally, so only when they appear in the browser's viewport. So if users don't scroll all the way down, the images at the bottom won't be loaded. So only what you see is what's getting loaded. There's also Akismet, anti-spam, so it automatically blocks spam comments. So this is important if you have a blog site, not so much if you just have a pamphlet site. So it's good for security purposes since it won't allow malicious or problematic content to be published on your site. It checks all your contact form submissions against your global database of spam, so you'll be sure that only the good and the relevant information gets to you. The plugin is mandatory for blogs and business owners who receive tens of thousands of comments daily sometimes. And then there's Wordfence Security. Wordfence puts a firewall on your site to keep it away from malicious traffic. It offers malware scanner that blocks suspect external attempts and also provides a secure login system. So it provides alerts every time something weird is happening on your website. Okay, then there is the Contact Form 7. It creates simple and effective contact forms. It can handle multiple contact forms on the same site. It integrates Ask-a-Smet spam filtering. So when someone's filling out forms, you can make sure that it's not a whole bunch of nonsense and spam. It also lets you customize styling and fields that you want to use in the form, and the plugin provides CAPTCHA. Then we have WooCommerce. WooCommerce is one of a few plugins that can turn your WordPress site into an online shop. Very popular, very widely used for e-commerce sites. It's flexible in terms of customization options. A lot of developers have built a community around it and even created further extensions onto this plugin. So you can sell both physical and digital goods. You can add product variations. You can use affiliate links and extensive payment methods. Okay, so what plugins do you need when starting off? So you need SEO optimization plugin, a must. You need advanced editor for pages and posts. You need image optimization for faster page loading. You need to increase your site performance, right? You need Google Analytics plugin. You need a sitemap plugin. You need a plugin to change the login URL to protect your website from attacks, and you need a plugin to help with your site security. So those are things that you need to be aware of. So, creating and maintaining a WordPress site is more than just creating those pages that look nice and that has content. You also have all these other back-end things that you need to be aware of and take care of. All right, and this is the sources for my PowerPoint presentation here. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to also watch the video tutorials for some of the things that were mentioned in this PowerPoint.